Om Satchidananda Rupaya Vishvotpatyadi Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Janmadhyasya yatonvayaditarataschaarteshvabhignaswarat Tene Brahmahridaya Adikavaye Muhyanti Yatsurayaha Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi Dharma Projita Kaitavotra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastavamatra Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayon Mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamunikrite Kim Vaparerishwaraha Sadyo Hridyavarudyate Trakritibihi Shushushubhistatshanat. With your eyes closed, invoke toughness, evoke hope. Feel the presence of the divine in you, as you. Feel that this presence cannot be conditioned by your body, your name, but has to be present in all bodies, all names. Hari Om, and greetings from Niagara Falls. We are now in the last month of this semester. How do you know if you're studying Vedanta and Bhagavata? What would be one gauge that you're actually becoming more like Bhagavan Krishna? If anyone wants to share their observation, you can in the chat. How do you know you're studying? How do you know you're becoming? You're happier. This is a non-legal way to change your name. You have more love. You're spreading happiness. These are all fine measures. Here's another. When you feel less belongs to you. When you feel less belongs to you, you know you are studying Vedanta in Bhagavata. Starting with less articles. This is a very timely message as Black Friday is coming soon and Cyber Monday is coming soon. And so is Giving Tuesday. Less articles becomes training for less circumstances. In Niagara, it's snowing outside. If I don't own the weather, which I don't, but I'm registering that, who cares if it's snowing or not? Which becomes training for less beings. I don't own my mother. I don't own my wife. I don't own my kids. Which becomes training for this body doesn't belong to me either. I'm simply leasing this. This is like a forced lease. I didn't actually want it, but it's been thrust upon me. Which becomes training for my thoughts don't belong to me. Imagine that. All of these thoughts that are so heavy, you just let them go. Which becomes training for the ego does not belong to me. The ego is not me. Ego-less. Our course is training in lessening all that is not you. In doing so, one becomes a Mahabhagavata. One doesn't just study Bhagavatam, one becomes a Mahabhagavata like Rishi Prahlada or Sri Ranti Deva. Do you remember when we explored Sri Ranti Deva? He was the king, but never felt anything belonged to him, including his own family. A Mahabhagavata. Our Bhagavan Krishna was born in Mathura, was there for a very short period of time. And this reminds me of, I was in San Diego once, and the family was driving me to the discourse. I was sitting in the passenger seat, the Devi was driving. They had a boy in grade 1 in the middle of the van, and a girl in grade 4 in the back of the van. And I asked the girl, where were you born? And she said, a city in America. Then I asked the boy, where were you born? To try to understand their personality more. He comes forward to get my eye contact and says, Vivekji, I was born in the hospital. Where were you born? So truthfully shared. So Bhagavan Krishna was also born in Mathura, but for a very short period of time. And he shifted to Brahad Vana. Brahad Vana. We often use the word Gokula. See, Kula means family, and Go means cows. So Gokula is not a place. Gokula is where this family that revolves around cows goes. So Gokula is everywhere for Bhagavan Krishna. Understood? From Mathura to Brahadvana. Now everyone thinks Brahadvana is cursed, so they've moved to Vrindavana. This is our third stop in Bhagavan Krishna's life thus far. And our guest, our most recent guest, has been Agha Asura. Agha means sin. And sin is that which always has its mouth open, and as soon as you enter, what does it do? Closes that mouth upon us. Like a dessert, like a movie, even though it's late at night, it's free. It's in your fridge. Come, experience me. But once you eat that cake, one slice is not enough. Once you start watching a show, one show is not enough. It closes upon us. Bhagavan Krishna tried to share with his family and friends, think before you act. Bhagavan Krishna knew this apparent cave is actually a asura. No one else did. They just acted without thinking, almost like a ritualist. No. Doing. Why are you doing? I don't have time to think about why I'm doing. I have to go back to doing. When Agha Asura was destroyed, a light emerged out of him and merged with Bhagavan Krishna. As this python began to decay, imagine how big that remaining skin would be. All of the kids used to play in that skin. Now our kids are scared of spiders. A cobweb got on me. They used to play in the skin of that python. We continue, and I want to share more details about Bhagavan Krishna's behavior. These details are such beautiful expressions of Leela, of play. So, some of these details. When Bhagavan Krishna was living in Gokula, meaning with the people around him, they would often boss him around. This little boy, they would say, Krishna, bring me this stool. Krishna, bring me this vessel. And he would do it. He's described as one of those push-button dolls. You know, you push the button and it'll make a noise or move its eyes. Bhagavan Krishna was like that. But sometimes something would be too heavy. So he would try, but he wouldn't be able to do it. So he'd be flustered then. He'd put his hands up and go, and so many would do that on purpose just to see this precious child be flustered. He would never want to come home. So what Devi Yashoda used to do is tell Bhagavan Krishna that your father is waiting for you to eat. And Sri Nanda would wait until Bhagavan Krishna came home to eat. And think about how hungry Sri Nanda would be, working so much. But as soon as he saw that young boy, he didn't need to eat. Raja Parikshita is told by Rishi Shuka, this narration about Agha Asura being destroyed, this happened when Bhagavan Krishna was 5 years old. Now, all of the family and friends, when they ran back to their parents to say, this is what happened to us, an entire year had passed. In other words, Bhagavan Krishna was 6 years old when the parents actually came to find out about this. And this caught Raja Parikshita's attention. What happened in this year? This happened when he was 5, yet was narrated when he was 6. How is that possible? And before I share with you, this really indicates in a deep way that the Purana, Itihasa, etc., they are ancient, but they are fresh. Fresh means relevant. This did happen last year, but it's being narrated this year because it's as relevant. And Rishi Shuka tells Raja Parikshita, just like vulgar people are interested in vulgarity. If you think of, according to an internet search, what the oldest profession is, it's prostitution. For one who's vulgar, does prostitution ever become old? For one who likes to escape through alcohol, how many drinks they would have had, does it ever become old for them? So, we want to know what happened in this year. 10th Skanda, 13th Adhyaya, 20th Shloka. 10, 13, 20. As I narrate this, you will understand why I asked you to change your name. Rishi Shuka is telling Raja Parikshita, Swayamatmatma go vatsan prativaryatma vatsapehi tridan atma viharaischa sarvatma pravishadvrajam. The Atma, that is Bhagavan Krishna, became all of the cows, became all of the cow herds, became all of the accessories that cows and cow herds need, like reins and buckets. Bhagavan Krishna looked after all of the cows and cow herds by himself, because he is the spirit of all. Okay, so this is the literal translation. How did this happen? How did Bhagavan Krishna become all of the cows, all of the cow herds? Why did he have to become this? When Agha, Asura, was destroyed, Bhagavan Brahma, as in the creator Bhagavan Brahma, was watching. And he was fascinated that this 5-year-old boy was able to destroy this python and save all of his family and friends. So he wanted to know more about this beautiful boy. Now, this is in the commentary I've read. Another commentary shares when Bhagavan Brahma saw how much people loved Bhagavan Krishna, he became competitive. He thought he should compete with this young boy. So, Bhagavan Krishna and all of the cowherds, they're sitting on the sand dunes near the Yamuna. And the way they're sitting, Bhagavan Krishna is sitting in the middle, and they're all sitting around almost like a flower. He's the center, they're all the petals. And I'm going to read to you in English how lovely he is. With his flute stuck between his waistcloth and the abdomen, with blowhorn and staff in his left armpit and the left hand respectively, with balls of curd rice in his right palm and various condiments between the fingers, he sat in the midst of his friends, cracking jokes and making them laugh, as the celestials looked on, steeped in wonder. They were immersed in enjoying, and then they stopped hearing the noises of their cows. Their cows were in this field eating, but they became quiet. So all of the boys got up to go and find their cows, and Bhagavan Krishna said, "You all enjoy. I'll go gather all of these cows." And so he left, and he couldn't find those cows anywhere. So when he came back to the Yamuna to tell these boys, where did the cows go? The boys were gone too. So now Bhagavan Krishna was all by himself. What had happened was Bhagavan Brahma took all of the cows and all of the gopas and made them go to sleep and hid them. So he didn't hurt them. They all went to sleep and he hid them. When Bhagavan Krishna realized what was happening, what did he do? He became all of the cows. He became all of the gopas. And they all went back to the Gokula. They all went back to their families. And for an entire year, Bhagavan Krishna, as Bhagavan Krishna and as the gopas and as the cows, he just interacted as usual. He was looking after all of the gopas and all of the cows by himself. And what was happening was all of those cows were giving more milk. All of those kids were giving more joy to their parents. It was an amazing year for everyone. And after this was going on and on and on, and Bhagavan Brahma thought he should dig in and let this play out. But he realized that he can't compete with Bhagavan Krishna. And so he surrendered to Bhagavan Krishna. And after he surrendered, then all of the factual cows and gopas, they came out of their sleep after 1 year and they went back to their families and narrated what had happened. Understood? It was like an induced coma in a very non-serious, non-medical way. When Bhagavan Brahma had asked Bhagavan Krishna, why did you play this trick on me? And Bhagavan Krishna said, because I wanted to bring you more joy. I wanted you to have more joy. Because remember, Bhagavan Brahma wanted to know more about Bhagavan Krishna. So he did this to bless Bhagavan Brahma. He did this to bless those families. He did this to bless the cows. Bhagavan Krishna's only agenda is to bless. With our katha stopping there, we now focus on the Vedanta. Thus far, we've studied a lot of asuras who are symbols for vices. Bhagavan Brahma is a sura, not an asura, but a sura. He also is a symbol of a vice, and that vice is arrogance. Arrogance. Bhagavan Brahma forgot. He is created. See, he only thought of himself as the creator. He had forgotten that he too was created. We've explored this already. All that is created is limited. He had forgotten that. He thought he's limitless, but he too is limited. And if you think of the application to our lives, if we think we're going to create happiness, whatever we're going to create is going to be limited. It will come, it will go. That's why I use the word independent joy. This joy is not created, rather is realized. I've forgotten, now I remember. Shared in a different way. Bhagavan Brahma is the effect. Bhagavan Narayana is the cause. That's why Bhagavan Brahma emerges from the navel of Bhagavan Narayana. So what is the effect to do? The effect is to serve the cause. How do we relate to this? We are an effect. We are to serve the cause. Our parents, our grandparents, and then grow past that. Community, society, humanity, divinity. In Meaningful Mornings, I describe this as part to whole. In a very technical way, this whole narration shows how the ego expresses through the intellect. And that expression is as doership. Bhagavan Brahma feels he is the doer. And if there's doership, there's going to be deservership. That's where he felt he needed to compete. That this 5-year-old boy is getting more recognition, more appreciation, more inclusion than me. But if he never had that doership, he would never have that deservership. That competition wouldn't, sentimentality wouldn't be there. If there's a doer, that doer has to be Bhagavan. Just like for those in the Drig Drisha Viveka course, I keep emphasizing there is only oneness. There is no two-ness. But if there's two-ness, that two-ness has come from that oneness. If there's two-ness. Fair enough? So these are some insights into why this happened. It is to show us that even as good people trying to become great, arrogance can still creep and manifest. What are we supposed to do most practically? Acknowledge generously. Whenever you have an opportunity to acknowledge, be generous in that acknowledgement. Remember in Meaningful Mornings, we had once watched a video. It was Patience, and it was a rendering by Chris Cornell. And as soon as I finished, Instagram and Facebook deleted those videos right away. And it's not that I was trying to sell anything, but there was no acknowledgement given. Even though we tried, there was no acknowledgement given to the artist and to the recording company, correct? To them, it's a legal matter. And we do the same in terms of whatever achievements we've had in life. Whoever we've become, we tend to hoard that. We tend to not acknowledge. Even us becoming great, we become independent of the Guru Shishya Parampara. Some of us are like that. We think like that. And that's why it's important to note that it is Bhagavan Brahma who is symbolizing this arrogance. Acknowledge generously. This narration is completed and more asuras are coming. I want to share some poetry before we finish the formal part of our class. Rishi Shuka is reminding or pointing out to Raja Parikshita that Sri Nanda, remember he had untied Bhagavan Krishna from that mortar. And he said that's so humorous that Sri Nanda is untying the one who frees us all. What a leela. He shares, Bhagavan Krishna was given the responsibility to guard the calves when Bhagavan Krishna is the guardian of creation, of the multiverse. That so many have come to Bhagavan Krishna with the agenda of death, and they are the ones who have died. He is death. He is the destroyer. And now, Bhagavan Brahma comes spewing out Maya at Mayapati. He's using Maya on Mayapati. What a leela. And Bhagavan Krishna so charismatically is playing with this. He never got mad at Bhagavan Brahma. He only played the same game. Oh.